Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembea is a very angry man. And George Natembea is saying that President William Ruto is making reckless decisions without thinking of future repercussions. Recently, William Ruto visited Northeastern. During that moment, we had some 5 chiefs who had been abducted. And William Ruto went ahead and abolished, he signed an executive order abolishing the strict vetting of the members of the Somali community whenever they apply for the identification cards. And Natembea is saying that this is a recipe for disaster for the Kenyan people. Number one, Natembea is saying that if you look at those who might have abducted our chiefs, there are people who are coming from the Somali origin. And so he's wondering how William Ruto could have the audacity of granting them the right of Kenyan citizenry without strict vetting. Because he's saying that soon what will happen, these people will abduct Kenyans, then they run to the other side of the border, or they will coordinate. And then when you start looking for them, you will not find them because they have members of the Kenyan origin now when they receive identification cards very easily. And Natembea is also saying that once these people acquire Kenyan identification cards, they will go and start conducting terrorism attacks on maybe the Western country like US and Britain, and this will cause more problem to Kenyans because we will be blacklisted. Kenyans will never be given visas to travel anywhere in the beyond the borders. And Natembea is urging William Ruto to reconsider his stand because he in fact is wondering whether William Ruto was in his right senses when he was making this decree and signing this executive order. I want you to watch George Natembea. Look at his countenance. He's very serious about it. Natembea has been a regional coordinator. Natembea knows very well the very unorthodox means by which foreigners get into our country and acquire illegal IDs. Now they have been given the free fall. Now it has been made easy for them that they will come in and they will acquire identity cards without any verification. Natembea feels that we are headed to disaster. We are headed for destruction.
Rais amekubali watu wapewe vitambulisho bila kufanywa vetting. Alitangazia kule Northeastern. Mimi nimefanya kazi huko. Watu wengi ambao wanatafuta vitambulisho Northeastern ni wa Somali, kutoka Somalia. Na wao wanakuja hata vetting committee wanaipatia pesa, alafu wanapewa vitambulisho. Sasa hiyo committee imetolewa. Na hakuna alternative. Na wakati rais anatangaza hivyo, kuna machifu 5 ambao walikuwa wameenda kumpangia mkutano walichukuliwa na Al-Shabaab, hawajapatikana mpaka saa hizi, wako Somalia. Wale watu ambao wamekamata machifu wetu sasa watapewa vitambulisho ya Kenya freely. Watapewa. Sasa wakitoka pale wakienda kuteka nyara watu wengine wakikamatwa watakuwa wamebeba ID ya nani? Ya Kenya. Watakuwa wanasema wa Kenya wamekuwa watu kuteka nyara watu. Hao watu watapata passport zetu, waende kula Amerika, waende wakalipue manyumba huko. Watasema wa Kenya wanalipua manyumba huko. Mtapewa visa ya kwenda Amerika. These things ziko na serious security implications. Sio kitu ya kufanya kiwalaola namna hii. Itafika mahali hawa watu watakuja kwa wingi, hata MCA atachaguliwa. Hata MP atachaguliwa. Hata governor atachaguliwa. Hata msukuchua president atachaguliwa na atakuwa mgeni, atakuwa Mkenya. Wengine wataingia kwa jeshi, wataingia kwa polisi. Itafika mahali escort commander wa president mwenyewe atakuwa mgeni, hatakuwa Mkenya. Saa hizi mataifa inaangalia mipaka. Ukienda Amerika, taifa kubwa linazuia watu kuingia kwenye taifa lake. Wanazuia. Itakuwaje a small undeveloped primitive country inafungura mpaka namna hii ili watu wakuje bila wanataka? Tutakuwa na nchi wapi? Mimi nitasema ukweli yangu, wakitaka kunimaliza mtakumbuka maneno nimesema. But you can't keep quiet when things are going wrong. That one was a wrong policy decision and it's going to injure us. In another 5 years, utaona kitu ambayo itafanyika. It's going to be very bad.
You know why William Ruto made this declaration? There was another court ruling that was made, a very suspicious one, that is directly connected to Ruto's decree. Apparently, in 2019, there was some census was conducted, and some Kenyans of the Somali origin went to court to contest the numbers in Wajir, Isiolo, and Mandera because they were saying that their numbers were deflated. And I've had this notion, I have had this discussion that the numbers might have been deflated deliberately by the previous government to aid as a conduit of election rigging. But then others feel that maybe the numbers were just correct because recently a high court sitting in Isiolo, was it Isiolo or in Mandera, declared that the Kenya Bureau of Statistics aid and acted outside the constitution and deliberately deflated the numbers from Wajir, Isiolo, and Mandera, and the court ordered a fresh mini census within 1 year. Meaning that as William Ruto continues to give identification cards to the members of the Somali origin, within 1 year, when this mini census will be conducted, then you will realize that there are so many and you will not imagine what is happening. And many people believe that William Ruto is only concerned about the 2027 re-election bid. He does not want to know the repercussion. He does not want to know what will happen after we allow foreigners to come into our country without verification. And as Fanya Mambo Kinuthia puts it, he's saying that William Ruto has lost touch with Kenyans. And he knows very well that on a honest, verifiable election, he cannot win. And therefore, he's looking for a way in which he can rig elections or looking for votes from these members of the Somali origin. Because once they will be given identification cards without verification, then there will not be any limit. William Ruto wants to ensure that these people will be in the country to the tune of even 5 million, so that as they vote, they will vote for William Ruto, and this will give him, it is like, this is the number that he wants to compensate what he lost in Mount Kenya. And Fanya Mambo Kinuthia is saying that we are going to resist any move by foreigners to vote for William Ruto when Kenyans have rejected him.
When you start haphazardly registering people from neighboring nations and giving them identity cards, what are you doing to your children? They'll be loaded over by people who are not even Kenyans. This is the danger. We are not looking at tomorrow. We are only concerned about increasing votes for 2027 because we've lost favor with Kenyans. It's that simple. Nataka wa Kenya wafanye research yao. There are some young people from a country that we know around that I'm going to mention. I don't even have to tell you. Who've been going around and selling to us kangumu and coffee. I challenge you today to take your phone and send them money via M-Pesa. They all now have national IDs and they all now have Kenyan names. I want you know them. You know the country they are coming from. Go and try. Who is giving them registration? This is their vote-getting strategy. It's a bad one. And Kenyans are going to resist. And by the way, we will live harmoniously with them. We will stay in peace with them. Lakini naambia wa Kenya wote, ikifika siku ya kura, tuna-identify mtu, tunamwambia kwa heshima, toka tu kwa line. You will not determine for us our president. We know you. We haven't seen you in any primary school in Kenya. You didn't go to any high school in Kenya. You don't even speak Kiswahili. You are saying you're a citizen. We will not touch you. We will not beat you. Lakini kwa heshima, hautapiga kura. That is all. You register them the way they want.
That is the situation we find ourselves in. It is unimaginable that a country that has got a history of being a victim to Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda, terrorist attacks, can allow foreigners to come into the country without any vetting. And you see, don't get me wrong, Kenyans have lived very happily and cordially with foreigners. That is a fact. We've never caused them any problems. But then, when you now abolish vetting, and you want every Tom, Dick, and Harry to flock into the country without vetting them, then you are yourself causing problem even between Kenyans and the foreigners. That is exactly what is going to happen. Like Panyamambo Kinude is saying that we know these people. We never saw them in any school. They've never been part of us. We live with them very freely and we have accepted them. But we are not going to allow them to start voting. And Panyamambo Kinude is saying that we will tell them, excuse me, we love you, but you're not going to determine for us who becomes our president. But you see, this is already a recipe for disaster, because once someone has been given an identification card, then it's got the right to vote. So you see, the beginning of conflicts emanates from there. They have the right to vote once they have been given the identification cards. And I want you to listen to this Kenyan warning them that they should not allow William Ruto to create a conflict between them and Kenyans, because you've seen what happens in South Africa. I'm not inciting anyone. I'm just saying that some people feel that sooner or later Kenyans will start resisting this kind of move. Can you listen to this Kenyan?
This is my very genuine and very honest advice to my Somali friends and my Somali people. Please, do not allow the government to put you in a place that you are not going to be able to remove yourselves. Let the government not put you as the enemies of Kenyans. Let the government not make you look like the people who bring trouble into this country. Because to me and to many of the Kenyans, you're not. You're very good people, you're very good business people, and you are a very good component of this country. We love and cherish you. But now, the face it's taking, William Ruto is trying to put you up against Kenyans who will not second think, but will just see you as the enemies of progress, and you're hindering the progress and everything that they are trying to achieve. And if this is the case, what about future leaders who will come and say, now these Somalis are the problem that is facing the country and we need to get them out and our problem is solved? That is a narrative that can really sell. What happens if the marginalization that has been there before, even with the evolution, there are talks of being marginalized at the moment? What about if a president comes into office with the sole intention of marginalizing you guys? Let us not accept the current president to misuse the Somali people, who he knows very well are very intentional and very have very good plans for this country.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think we are exaggerating things? Do you think we are blowing things out of proportion? Do you think it is normal for William Ruto to open our borders? It is normal for William Ruto to decide that we are not going to vet our foreigners anymore. Do you think there is any implication? And what do you think is the motive behind William Ruto's move? Because if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto is simply looking at what is going to happen in 2027. And he does not care. And my worry is, William Ruto has behaved as a president who does not love this country. Why am I saying so? We have always had this quote that there comes a time when Kenya is bigger than an individual. But when you see William Ruto conducting his politics this way, allowing foreigners within the country, you look at the security sector, the DCI, military intelligence, the NIS, they are owned by members of other communities that people would call maybe the Somali community. And this poses a danger to Kenyans, because many experts are now warning. You remember the other day when Ruto told, abolished another policy. He allowed houses in Isili to go to a level that had not been there during the previous government. And people were asking, Isili is just next to the Moi airbase. Why is William Ruto allowing owners of those houses to get to levels that will jeopardize the security of our country? Only because he wants to please the members of the Somali community, because majority of them own houses in Isili. And William Ruto does not love this country, because all he wants is that After he has done his maybe 2 terms, when these people are finally given the identification cards, because they are not only members of the Somali community. That Kenyan is saying that today there are very many people who are foreigners, they are selling maybe services or goods to us, and when you pay them using M-Pesa, they own Kenyan names. Some people are saying that they are using others, someone's identification card. How? Others are saying that maybe they have compromised their ways and they have been registered and they have now taken the Kenyan nationality. When this happens, these people will be directed on where to vote. After William Ruto has done his 2 terms, then he wants to transfer that problem to the other president. Ni kama anasema shauri yake mimi nishamaliza yangu. William Ruto is going to pass this problem to his successor. And this is going to be very bad. And that's why I'm saying that he does not love this country. Because all he wants is only concerned about himself. How he's going to do his 2 terms. Then once he's gone, it will be upon the other leaders who are coming to deal with that problem. I remember they were saying that, they inherited a government that had no money, a government that had been looted economically, and they keep on telling us that that is what they are dealing with. So it's the same thing that William Ruto wants to do. Politically speaking, if you allow foreigners to come into the country without any checks and balances, this is going to create a problem between the locals and the foreigners. Kenyans are not going to live happily with these foreigners once you indicate that you want to use them, because that is the notion, that maybe he wants to use them to rig elections. And we all know that they will start conducting certain atrocities in the country. If Al-Shabaab comes from Somalia, and then you've allowed them to come without any verification, they will come and pitch camp here, and they will start committing those acts of atrocities. And that will be the cause of conflict and rift between those foreigners and Kenyans. Do you agree with those 3 Kenyans who are warning that we are sitting on a time bomb and soon it will explode on us? William Ruto must now sit down and think of Kenya beyond himself. Think of Kenya beyond 2027, because it seems he has decided that he will do everything to ensure that he wins 2027. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but I think there's a problem waiting for us.